So the Democratic Party, well, more specifically, the Democratic National Committee has dropped from its party platform language calling for the end of subsidies and tax breaks for big fossil fuel companies. So now Huffington Post reported this earlier this week. And so now I'm reading a report in Sludge. So now the language had originally been added to the platform, according to a DNC spokesperson, in error. So they actually didn't mean to say that, oh, yeah, we're going to end fossil fuel subsidies and tax breaks, for these giant corporations. And so they did add it. And then they were like, nope, let's get it out of there. So now it's the day after a draft of the Democrats' 2020 policy platform was released, July 23rd. Climate journalist Emily Atkin noted that unlike the 2016 platform, it did not call for an end of subsidies and tax breaks for fossil fuel companies. So that was in the 2016 platform, but not now. According to HuffPost, the language was added to the platform after being included in an omnibus amendment on July 27th, before being removed from the final version circulated earlier this week ahead of the convention. So basically, if you were expecting the Democrats to hold true to not shoveling piles of taxpayer money at these giant corporations, well, then you would be mistaken, because that's exactly what they're doing and exactly what they intend to do. And you'll see that once I basically outline all the influence that these fossil fuel corporations have inside of the party. So now Sludge reports that in August 2018, the DNC had approved a resolution from Chair Tom Perez that reversed the DNC policy prohibiting it from accepting contributions from fossil fuel PACs. The DNC, according to the resolution, gratefully acknowledges and will continue to welcome the longstanding and generous contributions of workers, including those in energy-related industries, who organize and donate to Democratic candidates individually or through their unions or employers' political action committees. So notice the framing, right? They say, oh, it's the employees, it's the workers, and they're, giving this money to the DNC, and it has nothing to do with the corporation itself wanting to gain influence inside the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is supposed to believe in fighting against climate change. And so limiting the power of these giant fossil fuel companies to not only influence the Democratic Party and their policy, but, because the Democratic Party is supposed to be, in favor of limiting emissions and fighting against climate change. And so, these, as you're going to see, these people that are in the DNC now that have been appointed by Perez are definitely in favor of keeping the status quo and making sure that we actually go backwards on energy policy and not forwards. In fact, in August 2019, Sludge reported that the DNC had received at least $60,000 from owners and executives of fossil fuel companies, including Crume Oil, Duke Energy, Hightowers Petroleum, and Southern Petroleum Resources. So that's what we know of. That number could be a lot higher now. And so, I thought it was from the workers. The people that support Democrats. No, these are the owners. And they're giving money to the DNC. And of course, they're going to have influence. And part of that influence, again, comes in the form of lobbyists who represent those fossil fuel companies. Associate DNC Chairman Jamie Harrison, who is a former lobbyist for, get this, you're going to love this, the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity. Clean coal, right? Clean coal is not a thing that doesn't exist. It's not real, okay? And if you're a Democrat who laughed at Donald Trump for talking about taking the coal out and they clean it, and all that stuff, you got a nice hearty chuckle out of that, as most of us did, right? But at the same time, you are not enraged by the Democrats having a literal former clean coal lobbyist as an associate DNC chairman on staff, then you are probably a hypocrite. And you also probably hate Obama. Now, why do I say that? Because Harrison during the Obama administration was lobbying on behalf of that group as it fought against President Obama's Clean Power Plan and other climate-related regulations. If you are not furious about this, then you're not somebody who likes Obama, because you apparently don't agree with his Clean Power Plan, and you love Donald Trump and clean coal, because that's who's supporting it right now. And that's not all. Other fossil fuel lobbyists have been appointed by Perez to powerful DNC committee positions. For example, Tonia Burgos, who is a well-known fossil fuel lobbyist in New York and New Jersey, who serves on the DNC's Executive Committee and Budget and Finance Committee. For more than a decade, Burgos lobbied for Williams Companies as it sought to win approval for its Northeast Supply Enhancement Pipeline project that would have run beneath New York Harbor and delivered fracked gas from Pennsylvania exclusively to the National Grid utility company. He also lobbied on behalf of that company, National Grid, and currently lobbies in New Jersey for natural gas holding company South Jersey Industries and Public Service Enterprise Group, a utility company that operates a fleet of natural gas, coal, and oil-fired power plants. Now, there's more. The DNC's Deputy National Finance Chair is a man with the name of Chris Lowe. Now, Chris Lowe is the Chief Investment Officer at Steel River Infrastructure Partners. And that investment firm specializes in the energy sector and has investments including Delta Natural Gas, People Natural Gas, and oil and gas pipeline firm SICIM. Lowe is also a member of the DNC Budget and Finance Committee. The Democratic Party's law firm of choice, Perkins Coie, also works to promote the fossil fuel company's the industry's interests, besides providing legal representation for companies including Texaco, Baker Hughes, Northwest Natural Gas, Conoco, TransCanada, and Valero. Perkins Coie is lobbying for the industry against environmental regulations that many Democratic voters support. The primary focus of Perkins Coie's fossil fuel lobbying in recent years has been to secure hardship waivers from the requirements of the Renewable Fuel Standards Program, or RFS, for a coalition of oil refineries. The waivers allow the refineries to continue refining petroleum without blending fuels made from renewable sources. Jeff Berman, another DNC member appointed by Perez to the Rules and Bylaws Committee, is a former lobbyist with law firm Bryan Cave LLP, who in 2011 lobbied for oil pipeline company TransCanada on submission for a presidential permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. Still more. Look, if you don't already think that they are steeped in oil, might as well be actually steeping in literal oil at this point, because that's who they represent. But there's more. The Honorable Karen Carter Peterson, party official appointed by Perez to co-chair the Credentials Committee, is counsel at Dentons, the world's largest law firm, which has served numerous clients in the oil and gas industry, including French oil major Total SA and Russian energy company Lukoil. Hey, I thought they were against the Russians, with the whole Russiagate and all that stuff. Well, then how come you have somebody in the DNC that has represented Russian oil companies and part of the Credentials Committee? Now, I'm not sure, but isn't that the committee that gives credentials to media organizations? Well, if that's true, I wonder why TYT was denied press credentials to be able to cover the virtual DNC. Weird. It's weird how that worked out. Maybe that's got something to do with it, because TYT and other independent media have been pointing out these things. The fact that the DNC is filled to the brim with lobbyists and flowing with, corruption cash. So now there's another one. Last one here. Charlie King. Charlie King is a DNC member appointed by Perez to the Resolutions Committee, which voted against holding a presidential debate last year focused on climate change. That same person is a partner at Mercury Public Affairs, which lobbied for several oil and gas industry clients, including Penn East Pipeline and drilling company Enven Energy Ventures. So as you can see, the DNC chock full of fossil fuel lobbyists. No wonder they considered the platform plan to end subsidies to those companies a mistake. Gee, I wonder why. It's not, understand, it's not just about the corruption, right? I mean, that's bad enough. But it's also about the future of our species. If we don't have a party that's concerned or that is as concerned about fighting climate change as it is about taking corporate donations, then our society is doomed. Look, I know the Republican Party is going to take us backwards, right? We know that for a fact. But with the current makeup of the Democratic Party, we're not going to go forward. Not that far. I know Joe Biden is saying, oh, no, we got a climate change plan. It's pretty good. Sunrise Movement rated it an F-. That's pretty bad. That's awful. Okay. So, look, we're not going to go, again, forward with the Democratic Party, at least not that much. But remember, the Republicans are going to take us backwards, even worse. And so what we need to do is we need to eject these lobbyists from the DNC immediately. Not only these lobbyists, do these lobbyists and Tom Perez have to go, but you also have to eject Biden advisors Heather Zakal, who earned $1.1 million for serving on the board of natural gas giant Cheniere Energy, and campaign co-chair Representative Cedric Richmond, who was one of the most fossil fuel industry-friendly voting records of old Democrats in Congress. So these lobbyists, they do not belong in a Democratic presidential ticket, especially at a time where we have an impending climate catastrophe on our hands. We need to clean up the Democratic Party from this corruption. Get them out, take it back.